What if I told you that the secret to becoming an Olympic champion is basically the same as mastering a musical instrument, or even becoming a great leader? Sounds like a stretch, right? But today, we're going to dive into a radical idea that might just change how you think about success forever. So get ready to forget everything you thought you knew about genius and natural talent. We're about to find out what greatness is really made of.
We all love the stories of the overnight success, the flash of brilliance, the God-given talent. It's exciting. But what if the actual key to elite performance isn't exciting at all? What if the secret to being amazing is, well, kind of boring? It's a challenging thought, and it goes against pretty much everything we've been told.
See, on one side, you've got the myth we all love: innate genius, flashes of brilliance, natural-born talent. But on the other side, you've got the reality that this analysis points to: disciplined habits, daily consistency, and just plain old mundane practice. This is the real battleground for excellence, and we're about to explore it.
All right, so where do we even begin? Let's start by dismantling the biggest myth of them all. This whole idea of the natural. The person who was just born to do it.
When we watch an elite figure skater, all we see is this seamless flow of grace and power. It looks so effortless, so perfect, that our brain just jumps to one conclusion. Wow, what a talent. But here's the thing. That word, talent, is actually a trap. It hides all the real work that's going on behind the curtain.
And this is where sociologist Daniel Chambliss's work is so powerful. He basically says that talent isn't a reason for greatness. It's just a label we stick on it after we see it. It's a circular argument. It's like saying, why is that person so good at skating? Because they're talented. It doesn't actually explain a thing about how they got so good.
So to find a real explanation, Chambliss didn't look at DNA or IQ scores. He went somewhere else entirely: the swimming pool. He spent years studying swimmers, from beginners all the way up to Olympians, and what he found is a game changer.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. He found that the best swimmers didn't just swim more laps than everybody else. That would just be a quantitative change, just doing more of the same thing. No, the elite swimmers, they swam differently. They made dozens of tiny, almost invisible qualitative improvements. They were obsessed with every little detail: the exact angle of their hand entering the water, how powerfully they pushed off the wall. It was a completely different approach.
And all of this led him to his big idea: the mundanity of excellence. It's not about one single heroic moment. It's about a whole bunch of small, ordinary skills and actions. Each one is learned, practiced, and drilled into a habit. Then, all those little habits get stacked on top of each other until they create something that from the outside looks absolutely extraordinary.
Let me put it this way. A quantitative change is just adding more hours, more reps. But a qualitative change is about improving how you do it. So it's not just swimming more laps, it's perfecting every single flip turn until it's flawless. It's not just putting in more practice time, it's making that practice time intensely focused on one tiny skill. That's the secret sauce.
So if excellence is built from all these tiny, refined actions, how do they become so automatic? How do they become so powerful? Well, that brings us to the next piece of the puzzle: the incredible power of habit.
And this idea is ancient. We're talking Aristotle thousands of years ago. He basically said that we are the sum of our repeated actions. Excellence isn't some special event you decide to have one day. It's a habit you build day after day.
And the power of habits is just massive. One study found that about 40% of what we do every single day isn't based on a conscious decision. It's just a habit. Think about that. We are on autopilot for a huge chunk of our lives. But here's the key. The world's best performers don't let that autopilot run randomly. They intentionally design it to steer them toward excellence.
And this all boils down to a fundamental truth that we often forget. Consistency beats intensity every time. The whole story of the tortoise and the hare was right. It's not about the one big, heroic effort you make once a month. It's about the small, mundane, correct things you do every single day that add up to something huge. So what does this actually look like in the real world? Because this idea isn't just for swimmers. You can see it everywhere, from the sports field to the concert hall to the military. The path to the top is always paved with the same boring bricks.
Let's start with the high-stakes world of professional sports. This is a place where the mental game is everything, and where a solid routine can be the difference between winning and losing. Take a look at Cristiano Ronaldo before a free kick. It's the exact same ritual every single time.
He places the ball, he steps back, he visualizes. This isn't just superstition, folks. It's a finely tuned habit designed to do one thing: lower his heart rate and get him into a state of pure focus, even with millions of people watching. It's a mundane sequence that produces an extraordinary result.
Okay, now let's swap the soccer pitch for the concert hall. How do you build a world-class choir, not just find one amazing singer? Well, it's the same exact principle, just applied a little differently.
When you look at the best choirs, you see a system of habits. They don't just go to practice. They set super clear, small goals for each session. They have regular, low-pressure check-ins. They learn from the best singers in their section, and they take those one or two really difficult measures in a piece and they practice them until they are perfect. It's a system of mundane habits that creates something beautiful.
All right, what about something as complex as leadership? We love this idea of the lone genius leader who has all the answers. But in reality, elite leadership is less about individual heroics and way more about building great systems.
This quote from the U.S. Army just nails it. A truly effective leader at a high level isn't the one doing all the work. Their job is to create the systems, the processes, and the culture that allows their team to succeed. Their excellence is measured by the repeatable success of the system they built.
So now that we've torn down the talent myth and seen how this whole mundanity thing works in the real world, what does this actually mean for you? How can we take this and apply it to our own goals? Let's make it practical.
Here's a simple 3-step framework. First, you deconstruct. Break down your big goal into its smallest, most critical parts. What are the flip turns in your world? Second, you differentiate. Focus on making those small things better, the quality, not just the quantity. And finally, you habitualize. You practice those small things consistently until you don't even have to think about them anymore.
Let's just come back to that central idea one last time. This is it. This is the secret. Excellence isn't a giant leap. It's just ordinary actions done with care and consistency that compound on each other over time until they become something truly extraordinary.
So the real question I want to leave you with is this. What's the one small, ordinary, maybe even boring action that you can focus on doing perfectly starting today? Because that one simple habit, that might just be the thing that defines your entire tomorrow.